Okay, the goals and purposes of this presentation are to inform all of you the importance of the following macromolecules: lipids, carbohydrates, nucleic acid, and proteins. We're also going to show you examples and diagrams of each so you understand the concepts of each macromolecule better and its importance. Okay, so the macromolecule that I did in the group project was lipids. And in the first slide, I addressed the chemical properties of the lipid. And basically, to sum it up, lipids are a fat like substance that can be found in the bloodstream. And the main function of lipids are storing energy, signaling your body to do different things, and acting as the structural components of cell membranes, or what kind of makes up the cell membrane and keeps it together in a way. Um, Lipids are made up of glycerol molecules, which are fats, oils, waxes, and sterols. And all of those can be found in different foods, all kinds of things. And another name for lipids are triglycerides. In my second side for lipids, I addressed the hydrolysis reaction in lipids. And basically, that's when one of the triglyceride molecules in the lipid is hydrolyzed or digested. And when that happens, it yields one glycerol molecule and three molecules of fatty acids. And this leads to the hydrolytic rancidity, which causes the food to give off an unpleasant odor, and it kind of makes the flavor taste bad, and that leads to it being undesirable by the consumer, which 90% of the time is humans or animals or whatever may be eating the object. The next thing that I addressed for lipids was the dehydration synthesis, and when a lipid cell goes through this, there's an ester linkage formed between the hydroxyl group of an alcohol monomer and the carboxyl group of a fatty acid. And this is because in a lipid, the molecules aren't bonded together, so they can't come together like other substances do. And through this, it results in the fatty acid becoming saturated, and that's basically it. The last slide that I did for lipids, I listed the most common example of lipids, which are fats. And fats are also known as triglycerols, triglycerides, and glycerolipids. Um, there are also different types of fats, and the one that stood out the most to me was saturated fats, and that's because it can be found in things such as milk, cheese, meat, and other animal foods, and all of these are really important things to us as far as providing us with the proper nutrients that we need to carry on our daily lives and stuff like that.
Carbohydrates are the starches, sugars, and fibers found in foods. They are called carbohydrates because they are carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. They are both good and bad carbohydrates. Good ones would be like bread and potatoes and corn, while bad ones would be like cereal and potato chips. You can find the total amount of carbohydrates on the label of like a cereal box or a chip bag or something like that. Monosaccharides are the most basic units of carbohydrates. They're simple sugars. Examples would be glucose and fructose. Disaccharides are formed when two monosaccharides are joined together to make double sugars. Examples would be sucrose, lactose, and maltose. Polysaccharides are long chains of monosaccharides. Examples would be glycogen, starch, and cellulose. Dehydration synthesis is a chemical process through which monomers join together to make polymers and water is removed completely. This process builds what our bodies need. In this process, a hydrogen ion from one molecule is removed and a hydroxide molecule is removed from the next. Hydrolysis, however, is a chemical process where large molecules are broken down when water is added. This process converts the food we eat into the nutrients our bodies use. A hydrogen ion is added to one molecule and a hydroxide ion is added to the next.
Okay, so I was given the subject proteins out of the macromolecules, and proteins are polymers. The monomers which make up proteins are called amino acids. They consist of a central carbon atom or a carbon, which both an amino and a carboxyl group are attached. They release hydrogen in the group. The remaining two bonds of the A carbon atom are satisfied by a hydrogen atom in the R group. Those two are a carbon or hydrogen atom that's attached to the rest of the molecule. The primary structure is the sequence of amino acids that make up a polypeptide chain. As you see below, I have one of those. You have the R group attached to carbon and hydrogen, and then that attaches to carbon and oxygen and equals NH2. And then you have hydrogen that connects to N, goes to carbon and hydrogen to the R group, and it makes COOH. And with those two combined would equal H2O, also known as water. Okay, so secondly, I have proteins continued. Dehydration reactions link monomers together into polymers by releasing water, and hydrolysis breaks polymers into monomers using a water molecule. Monomers are just single unit molecules, and polymers are chains of monomers. This diagram shows the dehydration synthesis. Monomers are joined by removal of OH from one monomer and a removal of H from the other inside of bond formation. Just so you guys know, O means oxygen and H is hydrogen. So you have monomer 1 adding to monomer 2. You see how there are two hydrogens and one oxygen that come together right here, which equals H2O. And they're linked by a covalent bond. And hydrolysis are the monomers released by the addition of a water molecule, so adding OH to one monomer and H to the other. So it shows the link again and shows two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom. Okay, for the third slide is an example of a protein. An example would be a collagen. It's the most abundant protein in our bodies, especially type 1 collagen. So over here, I have a picture that shows that or how collagen can boost your health in 7 ways. 1 is that it improves your skin and hair. 2, repairs the joints. 3, it helps leaky gut. 4, it boosts metabolism. 5, it strengthens teeth and nails. 6, it helps detox. And 7, it reduces cellulite/stretch marks.
Nucleic acids are a complex organic substance present in living cells, especially DNA or RNA, whose molecules consist of many nucleotides linked in a long chain. The nucleic acids are the building blocks of living organisms. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. RNA stands for ribonucleic acid. There are two types of RNA, which are mRNA and tRNA. They are actually made up of chains of base pairs of nucleic acids, stretching from as few as 3 to millions. When those pairs combine in a super long chain, which is DNA, they make a shape called a double helix. Nucleic acids are also polymeric forms of carbohydrates. DNA is a double-strand helical-shaped molecule, which is mainly related to transfer the genetic information from one generation to the next. RNA is a single-strand molecule which involves in the protein synthesis. Another important characteristic of nucleic acids is their ability to carry information from genes in the cell's nucleus to certain structures in the cytoplasm that direct major biochemical processes. The nucleic acids are the genetic material for all living cells. It is involved in the storage and transfer of genetic material from one generation to the next. The genetic material of all the cells in a living organism is the same and has all the information required for making an identical organism. Nucleic acids determine the phenotype of an organism. Other functions of nucleic acids include catalysis and coenzyme action. Conclusion, open response questions. We hope you all enjoyed our presentation. It's a macromolecule. Number 1, where will we be without macromolecules? Number 2, could we survive without protein? And number 3, why is it so lethal we have nucleic acids?